No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for February the 15th, 2023. Now, real quick, if there are any technical issues with this live stream, it's because of my internet having some problems today. Going to try and get through it best I can. Hopefully, the stream holds up. I apologize if it doesn't, but let's try to do this. Shout out to everybody watching this live. Thank you to the early birds, Nick Lavin, Mike B, Dave Scheffler, Ronnie Ron. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Now, let's get to Dynamite. AEW's debut in Laredo, Texas. Might be the last time AEW goes to Laredo, Texas. Not a very big crowd this week. I think a little over 3,000 people. The arena was quite dark. Not the best turnout for AEW, that's for sure. We kicked off the show with a graphic in memory of the late Jerry Jarrett, longtime wrestling promoter, and of course him and his son Jeff Jarrett. They were the founders of TNA, which of course known today as Impact Wrestling. We kicked off the show with a tag team match, an 8-man tag team match. We had Team Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal versus Orange Cassidy, Danhausen, and The Acclaimed. Jeff Jarrett did, in fact, compete on Dynamite despite the passing of his father. That is a pro right there. You had Max Caster, fresh off of The Acclaim's loss last week of the tag team titles. You had Max Caster doing his promo, his little rap, and he did bring up Jerry Jarrett, but said that Jerry Jarrett was a legend, while his son Jeff was a douchebag. We had an okay match. I mean, it was basically a comedy match. You had Satnam Singh in there a little bit, and then Billy Gunn tagged in. Then we had the Ass Boys show up on the stage to provide a distraction. Satnam Singh double clotheslined The Acclaim, and then Orange Cassidy got tossed around. Billy Gunn eventually built up some momentum, and then things broke down. Sanjay Dutt tried to use his pencil as a weapon. That did not work. Orange Cassidy hit Jeff Jarrett with the orange punch, and then you had Anthony Bowens hitting the Scissor Me Timbers, and Sanjay Dutt, of course, was pinned. No shock here. I think everybody expected Sanjay Dutt to be the one to take the fall here. Like I said, match was decent, but nothing special. We then went straight to another match. We had Jon Moxley and Claudio of the Combat Club, the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm not sure if they're still Blackpool with William Regal being long gone, but they had a tag team match, a tornado tag team match against Roosh and Preston Vance, who was formerly 5'10" something in the Dark Order. They were jumped, Moxley and Claudio, in the crowd. Since it was tornado rules, they were brawling all over the place. Claudio brought a chair into the mix, but then Vance speared Moxley off the apron onto the other two on the outside. The crowd chanted, "Holy shit," and Jon Moxley got busted open. Breaking news, everybody. Jon Moxley bleeds on AEW Dynamite. Stop the presses. Vance got busted open as well. Claudio got a chain, was using the chain. He did the big swing. You had Jose, the assistant, getting involved, outside interference. Wheeler Yuta ran down to even the odds. Moxley wrapped the chain around Vance's neck, choked him out, got the win. And then afterwards, we saw Hangman Adam Page backstage. Page was watching the match. He got jumped by the Butcher and the Blade and Kip Sabian, and the Dark Order made the save. So, Page still has his friends in the Dark Order watching his back. And I'm telling you, Adam Page should have challenged Jon Moxley to a first blood match. Easiest win of his career. But that did not happen. More on Page in just a little bit. Match was pretty good, but not at the level of some of the recent matches on Dynamite. I will say that much. And, Moxley bleeding. I mean, come on. Just a random ass tag match on Dynamite, and he's still bleeding against Preston Vance, who's not going to be winning any matches on Dynamite. We had Jim Ross doing a sit-down interview with Wardlow, and I guess this is meant to create a little bit of sympathy towards Wardlow. His father was battling cancer, and Wardlow lived to see his father wrestle his first match, and Wardlow grew his hair out in tribute to his father, and Samoa Joe knew this and decided to cut the hair anyways because he's a bastard. So, this is the build-up, the hair cutting, and now it's personal between Wardlow and Samoa Joe. We then had Josh Woods versus Mark Briscoe, and you had Daivari and Tony Nese, the 205 Live crew out there, providing a distraction. 3 matches in a row now where somebody provides a distraction on the outside, just for those of you keeping track. Lucha Brothers ran down to help even the odds because Mark Sterling was getting involved. By the way, why were the Lucha Brothers not in the match on Dynamite? That's confusing to me. Considering that this was in South Texas, you would think you would have these guys doing their thing in Texas instead of just doing a run-in. Briscoe eventually made a comeback after being beat down for a while. Woods gave him a corkscrew suplex off the apron, but Briscoe did bust out a move out of Sabu's playbook where he set up a chair in the ring and then jumped off the chair with a dive to the outside. Mark kept working over Woods and eventually got the win with the flying elbow. 1, 2, 3. Again, no surprise here. I mean, Josh Woods, this guy ain't going to be beating anybody on any day, whether it's Dynamite or Rampage. Maybe Dark. Dark, he might pick up a win, but he ain't winning on this show. We then had a Renee Paquette sit-down interview with Adam Cole Bebe. Pretty much a pointless interview. Like, nothing has changed. Adam Cole is still recovering, and he's celebrating the little victories, like being able to not have his eye twitching and doesn't need to pull over to throw up when he's driving. And he said that the AEW roster is better than it's ever been, and he needs to be prepared for when he does return, whenever that is. We then had the world champion MJF show up. The crowd was not happy with MJF. They were chanting, "Shut the F up" at him. MJF said that Bryan Danielson is going to put on the performance of a lifetime at Revolution in the 1-hour Iron Man match. It will be the hardest match of MJF's life, but he will be victorious. And then he wanted to bring out somebody else who could say a thing or two about Bryan Danielson, somebody who has known Bryan for a very long time. And that person was Christopher Daniels. Now, I know that they crossed paths very early in their careers, but how many people are going to really remember Christopher Daniels and Bryan Danielson interacting. This was the closest thing to a storyline on this show, by the way. I mean, not much in the way of story advancement. So they brought out Christopher Daniels, and Daniels is a veteran. I like the guy. He was very cool with the no DQ people back in the day of XMV and when no DQ media was starting. And he cut a good promo here, but I feel like it's going to be difficult to get people to really care when it's been so long since Christopher Daniels and Bryan Danielson had any kind of interaction, especially on a national stage, which I don't think they ever did. Like Ring of Honor in the early years, but that's about it. And Danielson said that MJF had paid him to come out there and bury Bryan Danielson, but he was not going to do that. He brought up the King of the Indies, which, man, that is for the most hardcore of hardcore fans. Now, of course, that did ultimately lead up to Ring of Honor, and Daniels said that perhaps without Ring of Honor, there would be no AEW and there would be no MJF. And Bryan, according to Daniels, this is getting confusing, Bryan Danielson, Christopher Daniels. Chris said that Daniel is what MJF wishes he could be. Daniels called MJF a fraud and will be exposed at Revolution. Daniels slapped MJF, and then MJF kicked him low. I mean, I think we all could see this coming a mile away. Daniels coming out there, he's going to get his ass kicked. And MJF kicked him low, put the arm bar on, and then Bryan ran down to make the save. Very standard stuff here. The promo was good, but yeah, I mean, you have to really be a ultra diehard fan to understand the references and really have an emotional investment in Daniels getting his ass kicked by MJF. I mean, Daniels hasn't even really been on TV much in the past year or two. So, just coming out of nowhere, almost like Ace Steel showing up on Dynamite. Now, that was a really good promo he cut, but like a guy that never really appeared on national television, and a lot of people are not going to remember him except for your most diehard fans. So it's kind of out of nowhere and random, but if they had brought out somebody that Daniels had like a history with in WWE or something, like maybe it would have meant more. Not really sure. So yeah, segment was all right, but I feel like there was an emotional disconnect, at least for me. We had a video package from the Guns. So get this. At Revolution, there is going to be a 4-team match for the titles. At first, it was announced as a 3-team match. And why not just do 2-on-2? Why are they making this complicated? There's going to be like 2 battle royals, a casino royale battle royal, and then a tag team royale. I'm not even sure what the hell these matches are exactly. I know one's obviously a battle royal. But yeah, they're doing 2 multi-team qualifying matches. And then on top of that, the Acclaimed came in and said that they want their rematch. They're invoking their rematch clause, which why would it not just be a 2-on-2 match? Why are they invoking their rematch clause for a 4-way? Are they stupid? Or do they have no other choice? Like, this was weird to me. I presume this is leading to maybe FTR returning. They should have just done the Guns versus a mystery team and have it be FTR. Like, that would have been way simple and to the point. And they win the titles before Acclaimed can get their rematch. I don't know, but yeah, this was not it for me. City by the Bay sent in a $2 super chat, says AEW coming off way too much like an indie show. I hate to say it, but I agree with you, at least on this one. We had Jack Perry versus Brian Cage. Brian Cage, every time he's out there, he's losing. It's unfortunate because this is a big dude, intimidating guy, and he's basically enhancement talent. He's enhancement talent for little 130-pound Jack Perry, or 150 pounds. Maybe he's a little bit bigger than that, but still, like, in a real fight, I would expect Brian Cage to wipe the floor with Jack Perry. But basically, the real life situation is Jack Perry is an AEW favorite, a Tony Khan favorite. Brian Cage, at least at this point, looks to be on his way out. So it is what it is. Jungle Boy went right after Brian Cage, showing no fear. And Cage eventually caught Brian Cage Brian Cage caught Jack Perry after Perry did 3 dives. And on the third one, Cage caught him, and Cage was using his power, hit an F5. Jungle Boy kicked out. Would not have kicked out of a Brock Lesnar F5. Jungle Boy hit a diving splash. Cage kicked out of it. Jungle Boy kept the momentum going and then rolled up Cage and got the 1-2-3 victory. And then after the match, we finally had like a surprise. We had Christian Cage show up on the stage with his arm in a sling still. And I was thinking during this match, I was thinking, where's Christian? He's been gone for a while. And Jungle Boy ran up after Christian, but it was a swerve. Christian used mace on Jungle Boy and took off his sling. He was not hurt any longer. And then he hit Jungle Boy with the kill switch. The only thing about this is, wouldn't Jungle Boy be a little sus with Christian being gone for months, and then all of a sudden he shows up, his arm is still in a sling? Like, I would be a little suspicious that but whatever. So yeah, Christian's back, and to me, this was the highlight of the show. This was the best thing on Dynamite. Christian Cage coming back. Yeah, Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy, it looks like. Maybe at Revolution, we'll see. We then had a backstage segment with the Elite. They're going to be doing a rematch with Top Flight and AR Fox for Rampage. And something flashed on the screen, which people were saying was for the House of Black. Now, I'm sure this will be a great match, but not enough to make me want to watch Rampage, just saying. And of course, basically by putting the House of Black logo on the screen for a second, we all know the Elite's getting past AR Fox and Top Flight in the rematch. So, like, let's just get to the House of Black match, okay? Then we had Adam Page versus Kip Sabian. So yes, basically a match that Adam Page is 100% winning. And what made it worse is that, like, this should really be a 2-minute match. Like, Kip Sabian, come on. The guy's been opening card for almost his whole AEW run. And especially since coming back, he's done nothing. So why are they having a competitive match? And guess what? We had another distraction too. Penelope Ford on the outside. So almost every match on this show, you had some sort of outside interference or distraction. But anyways, of course, it wasn't going to matter. Adam Page, of course, won with the Deadeye. And that should tell you all you need to know about Kip Sabian. Can't even lose to the Buckshot Lariat. He has to lose to the secondary move. I mean, this should have just been a quick 2-minute match. And then afterwards, Jon Moxley showed up with the Combat Bullet Club, or whatever the hell they're called. And are they heels? Or are they faces? They're coming in the ring, and Moxley's acting heelish, saying, "You got no friends." And that's when the Dark Order showed up, and Evil Uno stood right up to Moxley and said, "I'm not afraid of you." And he slapped Moxley. And then Moxley challenged Adam Page to a Texas death match at Revolution, which should be a hell of a match. But I'm telling you, Page should have issued the challenge to a First Blood match. And, Evil Uno, if he really wanted to be a badass, he should have headbutted Moxley and reopened that cut, since Moxley is so easy to be busted open. Like, you gotta go for that weak spot. So yeah, that's set up for Revolution. That should be a hell of a match. And then we had the Jericho Appreciation Society in a backstage promo. Ricky Starks is not getting another match, according to Jericho, which means he is. It's just a matter of time. And Starks will get a match with Daniel Garcia, Jerry Garcia, whatever his name is, on Rampage. Again, don't care. Not tuning into Rampage for that. Dr. Dakota Scorpio. I mean, honestly, this is a great point. Dark Order gets TV time, but Miro can't. I'm 100% with you. Where is Miro? Like, I don't get it. He was doing so well. He got away from that awful video game character, and he finally started to build up momentum, and like, he just disappeared, and he's got nothing going on. Yeah, don't know what to say. And you got the Dark Order guys who really haven't been doing much of anything. And at least Miro, if he comes out there, he has a bit of a star presence. Evil Uno, come on now. No star presence there. And we had, interestingly enough, the women's match in the main event of the evening. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho versus Toni Storm. Now, unfortunately, this was not a great match. It was okay, but the angle here is kind of dumb. They're doing Paige, Saraya, and Toni are spray painting L's on people. I guess they're trying to be the NWO. So get this finish. I mean, this was something. So Britt Baker had Jamie Hayter with her, and of course Saraya was out there. It was every woman for herself, so no alliances here. And the storyline is, which side is Ruby Soho gonna go on? Is she gonna go with the AEW originals, or is she gonna go with the former WWE stars? But they won't say WWE. Match went back and forth with the three of them, and then Toni Storm applied a cloverleaf to Ruby Soho. Britt Baker decided to apply a lockjaw to Ruby as well. I guess they were going for a double tap out, but then who's the winner? Anyways, Saraya got in the ring since it was a triple threat. She realized, why am I just standing out there? I can just get in the ring and get physically involved. She got in the ring. Things started to break down. Jamie Hayter got taken out. And then, so Saraya spray painted Toni Storm's butt, so Toni Storm could make an imprint with the hip attack when she hit Britt Baker in the corner. Yeah. And then you had Ruby Soho get back in the ring, and she threw Toni Storm to the outside onto Saraya, rolled up Britt Baker, and basically stole the win. So Ruby Soho won the match, and then afterwards it was almost like a tug of war, with Ruby Soho in the center, Jamie Hayter on the other side, and then Saraya on the other side, and the two of them trying to convince Ruby to join them. Yeah. I do not really care about this storyline whatsoever. Hamp Cano sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Hamp. Says, today in history, 1999, one of the greatest feuds in history comes to an end as The Rock took on Mankind for the last time in a ladder match. That was the night after the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and that's when Big Show came out there and helped The Rock win back the title. Dr. Dakota Scorpio sent in a $5 super chat, and thank you guys for the super chats. Much appreciated. Says, they are doing a rehash of classic WCW story with the women, but with Vince Russo booking and logic so far. Yeah, I mean, it's like the New Blood versus the Millionaires Club kind of deal here with the women. But yeah, I'm not invested in it at this point. Like, to me, Soraya's return has really fallen flat. Like, turning her heel, I thought maybe could have potential, but so far, I honestly think it's been a bust. So, letter grade time. This was one of the weakest Dynamites that I have seen. Like, as far as the live shows, like the pandemic shows, you can give some of those a pass because of the circumstances. But as far as live Dynamites with the full arenas, well, this wasn't a full arena, not by a long shot. But as far as, crowd, full potential, full crowds go, like, this was one of the weakest Dynamites. It wasn't a bad show, but I wouldn't call it a good show either. It was just kind of okay. And they did set up a few matches for Revolution, but too many matches where it's painfully obvious who's winning, too many matches that are going unnecessarily long, and not enough storytelling. Like, it's just guys go out there, have a competitive match, move on to the next one. Maybe there's one promo thrown in that was MJF. And in this week's case, like, the MJF promo wasn't even anything to write home about. I mean, it was fine, but, the whole Daniels thing, I mean, what wasn't my favorite segment involving MJF? And, the Hangman Page stuff, that was kind of expected. So, yeah, I'm giving the show a C, which might be the lowest grade I've ever given Dynamite. I don't think I've done anything worse than a C. It was just okay. But I'm definitely expecting more with Revolution coming up, and I'm hoping that next week they'll really pick up the pace here. Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat with he sent in $5, and he also said 2004 in history. Eddie Guerrero wins the WWE title at No Way Out from Brock Lesnar. That was quite the moment. I mean, people never thought it was going to happen where Eddie Guerrero would be a world champion in WWE. Definitely a historic moment at the Cow Palace, and Dynamite's coming to the Cow Palace pretty soon. Nice little tie-in there. But thank you, Hamp. And Building Nexus with a $2 super chat says, how much momentum would a Punk return give AEW? A lot. I mean, I don't know what Punk can do physically. Like, he seems to be past his peak physically. He's gotten hurt twice now in the span of 6 months. And that's a troubling sign that maybe he just cannot do much in the ring at this stage of the game at his age. But as far as star power goes, like, he's a difference maker. And if he can do it and they're willing to bring him back, CM Punk versus Kenny Omega is money. I would buy a pay-per-view just for that match. I'd buy a ticket for that match for sure. That would be intriguing. And if they played off the real life issues, I would be invested. I think they need CM Punk back. Is he gonna come back? Time will tell. Apparently, he's just a month or two away from being cleared. Christian Cage had the same injury, the torn triceps, and he just came back. And he got injured around the same time as CM Punk, maybe a little bit before CM Punk. So yeah, CM Punk should be coming back very soon. At least he should be cleared very soon, but will he be brought back? That remains to be seen. Right now, like, I know Revolution is going to be a really strong show. They always are, but build-up wise, like, so far they gotta really start working on this and build some heat. I'm not feeling much heat. MJF versus Danielson. I need more than Daniels getting beat up. Christopher Daniels. Page and Moxley. It's good, but who am I supposed to cheer for at this point? Like Moxley, kind of acting heelish. Like I don't know who to root for, so because of that, I'm having trouble caring about it. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, would you make Punk the champion if he comes back? No, and because of the injuries, I don't think it's a good idea. What do? Make him the champion and then he gets hurt again? Like, I think you got to keep the title off of him. It was nice. It was a nice idea, but after 2 injuries in a short period of time, I would not do that if I was in charge. Like that's the last thing you want is for him to, especially with the morale, for him to come back, win the title, get hurt again. No, I would definitely not do that, but I would bring him back and try to work things out. Kenny Omega versus CM Punk. Imagine that in Chicago. That would be fun. So yeah, I'm hoping things pick up next week. We got 2 more shows before Revolution. They definitely have time to build up some heat for these matches, and they got to do something with the tag division too. Like, where's FTR? Like they need FTR, and FTR should be the tag champs. I'm hoping that's what happens here. They're one of the teams that is in this 4-way, and they beat the Guns. The Guns having the titles, like that's a joke at this point. FTR needs to come back and get those titles. Maybe turn the Acclaimed heel. I don't know. I mean, they were hot for a while, but feels like they've cooled off a bit too. Seems to be a running thing in AEW. Anyways, guys, I mean, this was one of my more critical videos towards AEW, so we'll see if I get some thumbs down on this one. I know for some fans, like, AEW can do no wrong, but yeah, this was not their best effort in my opinion. Anyways, guys, I hope you did enjoy the video. For those of you that did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you liked the video. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Yes, the closest thing to heel Aaron, but, you know, hopefully things don't continue to go more downhill. I'm hopeful that, this was just a slow week, and next week they'll pick things up. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Elimination Chamber predictions. Stay tuned for that. And like I always say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.